Hey everybody, Johnny the Queer POTUS here. I'm really excited today because my channel has reached yet another milestone, 700 subscribers. That's really amazing. Hey, we're getting really close to 1,000 here, and then who knows, the sky's the limit. So in honor of that milestone, I will be answering questions. I'll be doing a Q&A right here on the channel. And I'm just gonna wing it. I'm gonna answer these questions off the top of my head. I'm not gonna be preparing anything in advance, so let's get right into it. And here to actually ask the questions, which all of you submitted to me in the past 2 weeks, we have a special guest host. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a can of Arnold Palmer.
Hello, I'm 12-time champion golfer and delicious soft drink, Arnold Palmer. It's such a pleasure to be here with Johnny the Queer POTUS. Johnny, how are you today?
I'm doing quite well, Arnold, thank you. And how are you?
I'm feeling pretty effing great. And what a lovely shirt you are wearing.
Oh, this whole thing? Oh, it's just a little Super Mario, my favorite game.
Okay, I just said nice shirt. I wasn't asking for a biography.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I know I'm sweet, but sometimes I get a little sour. Let's just get to the questions. Question 1. What was the moment that let you become comfortable with being labeled an historian?
Well, I don't know if I'm comfortable with the label historian. I suppose a historian can be anyone who is interested in history, but I don't have any specific credentials that make me a historian. I'm not a PhD or anything like that. My interest in history, though, dated back a long time. When I was a little kid, I used to visit presidential historic sites. Sometimes I would even force my friends to hold their birthday parties at presidential sites. We even went to see Martin Van Buren's house on my friend Michael's 10th birthday or something. So that was the kind of fun kid I was. My interest in history kind of went dormant for a long time as I spent a lot of my time working on my career, working in languages, then in music. And then after a while, I started getting interested in history again, in large part thanks to the podcast revolution that took place within the last 10 years. Really, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History had a big influence on me. Listening to Countdown to Armageddon really blew my mind and opened my eyes to what was possible through the magic of podcasting. And then I listened to Revolution's podcast and BBC Inner Time. I actually wanted to start a podcast, and I was working on plans to do that when a friend of mine, Comrade Tova, who does the music for my videos, started to send me a lot of YouTube videos. And then I started getting into BreadTube and LeftTube, which I really enjoy, but I didn't want to do videos about theory or anything like that. I wanted to do videos about history and specifically presidents because I happen to know a lot about presidents. So podcasts eventually led to audiobooks, and then audiobooks led to actual books, and I've read a lot of books. I read books constantly, probably 4 or 5 books a month. I have books all over my room with bookmarks in the middle of them. I get about halfway through, stop, pick up something else.
Okay, wrap it up, B. We wanted an answer, not a novel. Also, I read a lot of books is a weird flex. Anyway, let's move on. Question 2. How many more presidents will there be?
How many more presidents will there be? There could be 100 more presidents. There could only be one left to go.
Come on, Johnny, answer the freaking question.
I know, Arnold, but I get, what am I supposed to say to that? 20.
Wrong. The actual answer is 13. Question 3. Oops. You're the president of the USA somehow. What do you do?
So, in the premise of this question, you say, oops, I'm the president. Well, it doesn't quite work like that, and it's really important to know how somebody became president to understand why they do the things that they do. Presidents don't just drop into the office unless they happen to be vice president and the sitting president dies. But even in those situations, you kind of have to finish the legacy of the president you ran with. You had already said a bunch of stuff supporting that president, so you can't just...
Jesus tap dancing Christ. What does it take to get this guy to answer a question?
Alright, fine. I'll take your hypothetical for what it's worth. If I were dropped into the presidency, which again, kind of goes against the whole idea of the presidency. It's elected office, so you have to tell everybody what you're planning to do ahead of time. It's also donors who you have to make... All right, fine. But if I was somehow dropped, well, I suppose that I would get the United States back into the Paris Climate Accords. I would try to rebuild the infrastructure of manufacturing in the United States through worker-owned co-ops. Yeah, I'm a historian. Prescribing a presidential platform isn't really my milieu, so to speak, but I guess I would give free coffee to everybody and we'd all live in teepees.
I don't think a teepee is an ideal place for a can of half lemonade half iced tea like me. I much prefer the cooler temperatures of a 7-Eleven fridge, but that's neither here nor there. Question 4. What historical event should my next movie script be on?
Well, to be honest with you, I've really wanted to see a movie about the Rough Riders, but not the typical, look at these heroic cowboys fighting for America version. A version which emphasizes the role of the Buffalo Soldiers in the Cuban American struggle and talks about, kind of more of an intersectional approach where you show how the African American soldiers in Cuba had to do the dirty work of empire, which is bad, but also that they were lower in the totem pole in that empire so that they didn't get any credit for it, to show some of the ridiculous behavior of the Rough Riders and kind of lampoon them a little bit. Maybe even make it a comedy where you just sort of laugh at Teddy Roosevelt and his insane crew of Rough Riders just rolling all over Cuba.
Nice. I'd watch that movie. And may I suggest Mel Gibson play Teddy Roosevelt? Mel is a top actor and a stand-up guy if memory serves. Just a thought. Wow, this next question is a real humdinger. George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson. Fuck, marry, or kill?
Okay. So, kill, obviously, Thomas Jefferson, because he was a sexual predator who preyed on underage children, so he obviously deserves to die. Like Django Unchained, straight up, kill Thomas Jefferson. That's where I'm at on that. I'm gonna say F George Washington, because he is a tall, handsome boy, and also pretty, kind of boring. Doesn't really have much to say, so I feel like I would get bored of him very quickly, so I wouldn't want to be married to him. And marry John Adams, because obviously John Adams is, the best of those three people, the most progressive, forward-thinking, smartest, humorous, a little bit cynical. That's more my style. I hope he looks a little better than Paul Giamatti, but, I'll take what I can get in this scenario.
Personally, I would kill Adams, fuck Tommy J, and marry George Washington so I could level Mount Vernon and turn it into a golf course. But that's just me. Okay, this next question is kinda interesting. If you could take anyone in history for a date on Valentine's, who would you take and why?
Anyone in history on a date for Valentine's Day? I would have to say Bess Truman, because she was a woman of simple tastes and simple pleasures, which means I wouldn't be out of pocket too much on this Valentine's Day date. And also, she was a really good baseball player, so we could just go play some baseball. I like to play sports, so that'd be a lot of fun. So, Bess Truman, hit me up.
Oh boy, this next question is in Russian. I'll have to go call my cousin, Alexei Parmarov.
Здравствуй, Джонни. Я Алексей Палмеров, известный чемпион по гольфу и вкусный напиток с чаем, лимонадом и чуть-чуть водкой. Вот к тебе такой вопрос. Какое твое мнение о современной музыке, есть ли что-то новое, что тебе интересно, что мало известно, но ты хотел бы порекомендовать? И какие твои личные планы на музыку, пишешь ли ты ее, планируешь ли писать, если да, то в каком стиле? В общем, твое личное мнение, твои мысли о музыке, что тебя интересует, волнует или же наоборот, к чему ты стал равнодушен или разочарован.
Вообще-то мне сложно сказать свое мнение о современной музыке вообще, потому что есть плохая современная музыка, есть хорошая современная музыка. Вообще-то я люблю старую музыку больше. Я люблю классическую музыку, музыку диджей, музыка, которая не очень мешает мне, когда я читаю. Из музыкальных групп, которые я люблю, это будет, конечно, Radiohead, Ween, Frank Zappa, Electric Grandmother, у которой новый альбом только что вышел. Я сам много лет играл в музыкальной группе, и, конечно, это было очень забавно. Я путешествовал по всей Америке, ездил в Исландию, в Испанию играть концерты. Было очень весело. Но мне показалось, что чтобы стать знаменитым музыкантом, нужно иметь связи. То есть 1 из миллионов просто как бы ни из чего станет великой звездой. А так надо кого-то уже знать.
Все понял. А теперь вернемся к Арнольду.
Thanks, Alexei. Say hello to your babushka for me. Now, next question. Which president do you wish more people knew about because of his legacy, be it for good or bad, and why?
Honestly, I kind of wish more people knew more about Theodore Roosevelt and some of the bad parts of his legacy. I often find that people, when they list their favorite presidents, they usually go Lincoln, and the number 2 is often Teddy Roosevelt, and I don't quite understand why. I know that he's a really fascinating figure, but he's also a very problematic figure. I also think that recent revelations about Woodrow Wilson's racism have kind of overshadowed some of the racism of Theodore Roosevelt. Of course, in many ways, the racism of Woodrow Wilson eclipses that of Theodore Roosevelt. But Roosevelt may have been more progressive towards African Americans in his time, but he had very racist views towards people in other countries and other parts of the world. And he definitely believed in a racial hierarchy that put white people at the top.
Well, that's about it, but I do have one more question for you. Of all the presidents, who do you think was the best golfer?
Well, I don't know which president played the best golf. I know that the first president to play golf was William Howard Taft, and that from some of the video footage I've seen of him, he does not swing the club very well. Woodrow Wilson was the president who played golf the most. In fact, it was prescribed to him by his doctor, Cary Grayson, as a way of giving him exercise and stress relief. He played, I think, like 1,200 rounds of golf. Coolidge was terrible at golf. I think Hoover was probably pretty decent. I don't know about Truman. Eisenhower was a pretty good player. In fact, they named a tree after him at the Augusta course, which is where the Masters is played. I would probably guess that Gerald Ford and George W. Bush played golf the best.
I can attest to the fact that Gerald Ford was an exceptional golfer. In fact, the day after he left office in 1977, he called me up and we hit the links right away. I also agreed with his pardon of Nixon, but that's for another time. Thanks everyone for coming to watch Johnny the Queer Potus's question and answer stream. I hope this was informative for you. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you'd like to donate to Johnny's channel, go to www.patreon.com and become a member today. Also check out Johnny's Twitch stream at twitch.tv/queerpotus. Well, that's all for now. I'm Arnold Palmer wishing you a happy life.